child, the restlessness you feel is not a mistake. It is not merely anxiety. It is not just exhaustion. It is not your imagination turning against you in the quiet hours of the night. It is the sound of heaven moving the cloud again. You have been asking why your soul can no longer settle in the same place where it once felt safe. You have been wondering why the room feels smaller, why the conversation feels heavier, why the door you used to open with peace now feels like it has a warning written across it in invisible fire. And I tell you this now, not every discomfort is an attack. Not every shaking is destruction. Not every restless night means you have lost your way. Sometimes, my child, your spirit becomes restless because your Father has already begun to move. In the wilderness, my people did not move by the voice of their own fear. They did not move by the heat of the sand, or the opinion of the crowd, or the memory of Egypt behind them. They watched the cloud. By day, I went before them in a pillar of cloud. By night, I went before them in a pillar of fire. I did not leave them to guess where I was. I did not ask them to walk through the unknown without a sign. I placed my presence above them, before them, around them, and when the cloud remained, they remained. But when the cloud lifted, they had to rise. There is a mystery hidden in that movement. A mystery many read too quickly and never trembled before. Because when the cloud lifted, staying was no longer obedience. The place had not changed. The tents were still there. The ground was still familiar. The people still knew where everything belonged. But my presence was moving, and when my presence moves, comfort can become disobedience if you refuse to follow. This is why you feel it. This is why your heart has been unsettled. This is why the old peace has disappeared overnight. You thought something was wrong with you. You thought you had become ungrateful. You thought you were losing your faith because the things that once comforted you no longer carry the same warmth. But I am telling you, you are not losing your faith. You are being summoned deeper into it. The restlessness is a signal, not a sentence. It is not me condemning you. It is me awakening you. You have stayed where I once met you. And because I am merciful, I have begun to disturb the nest. I have begun to loosen the cords. I have begun to let the familiar place feel too small. So you will stop mistaking yesterday's shelter for tomorrow's promise. Listen carefully. My child, there are seasons I give you as refuge, and there are seasons I give you as assignment. There are places where I hide you, heal you, strengthen you, and feed you. But not every place that once healed you is meant to hold you forever. Some rooms are hospitals, not homes. Some relationships are bridges, not destination. Some opportunities are tents, not temples. And some seasons are holy only because I was there for that appointed time. But when the cloud lifts, do not build an altar to the ground and ignore the God who is moving. You have been asking me, Lord, why do I feel so unsettled? Why can I not rest here anymore? Why do I feel pulled, still, almost haunted by the sense that something is changing? And I answer you, because heaven has already shifted before your eyes have caught up. Your flesh sees the same routine. Your spirit senses a new command. Your hands are still touching the old doorframe, but deep within you, something has heard the sound of tent pegs being pulled from the earth. You do not need to panic. You do not need to run in fear. You do not need to force a door open with your own strength. But you must not ignore what I am speaking in the quiet place. The enemy wants you to call this confusion. I call it preparation. The enemy wants you to believe you are unstable. I call you sensitive to my movement. The enemy wants you to drown the restlessness with noise, distraction, entertainment, sea-canter, and the approval of people who cannot see the cloud. But I am drawing you into prayer, into stillness, into holy attention. There is a difference between anxiety and divine stirring. Anxiety pulls you into chaos and says, "You are alone." My stirring pulls you into prayer and says, "I am near." Anxiety makes you fear the future. My stirring makes you release the past. Anxiety screams that everything is falling apart. My stirring whispers that something is being rearranged. So do not curse the uneasiness too quickly. Do not silence every trembling before you ask me what it means. Some trembling is not weakness. Some trembling is the soul recognizing that the king has entered the room. The night may feel quiet, but heaven is not idle. The sky may appear still, but my messengers are watching. The path may not yet be visible, but I have never needed visibility to prepare victory. Before Israel moved, the cloud moved. Before the camp understood, heaven had already decided. Before the feet began walking, my presence had already gone ahead. And now I say to you, the same God who led them through the wilderness is not confused about your wilderness. I know where you are. I know what has become heavy. I know what once gave you peace, but now presses against your spirit like a closed gate. I know the ache you cannot explain. I know the strange grief of leaving a place that is not evil, but is no longer assigned to you. And I know the fear beneath your question. You are not afraid that I cannot lead you. You are afraid that following me will cost you what you have learned to survive with. But, my child, I did not bring you out to abandon you between seasons. I did not lift the cloud to lose you. I lifted the cloud because there is more road ahead. And the restlessness you feel is not the absence of my presence. It is the evidence that my presence is moving. Now listen. My child, when the cloud lifts, the old place loses its peace. This is one of the hardest mysteries for the human heart to accept. Because you remember what that place used to be. You remember when that door felt like mercy. You remember when that relationship felt like shelter. You remember when that assignment felt like purpose. You remember when that routine gave structure to your trembling hands and helped you breathe again. So when the peace begins to leave, you wonder if you are being punished. But I tell you, sometimes the peace does not leave because I am angry. Sometimes the peace leaves because the season has ended. The same place that once healed you can begin to suffocate you when my cloud has moved. Do not be surprised when what once carried grace now feels strangely empty. Do not be surprised when the old conversation no longer feeds you. Do not be surprised when the old approval no longer satisfies you. Do not be surprised when the place you prayed to enter becomes the place you must now pray for courage to leave. I am not mocking your memories. I am not dismissing your tears. I know what it cost you to survive that season. I know how deeply you clung to the shelter I gave you. I know how long you prayed for stability. I know how many nights you asked me for one place where your heart could finally stop fighting, and I gave you rest there. But my child, rest is not always residence. Sometimes I let you rest in a place so you can recover enough to move again. The Israelites could not march every hour. They needed places to stop, gather manna, mend garments, hold their children, bury their fears, and learn the sound of my command. When the cloud stayed, they stayed. If it stayed 2 days, they stayed 2 days. If it stayed a month, they stayed a month. If it stayed a year, they stayed a year. But when it lifted, they lifted their tents. They did not own the wilderness. They followed me through it. This is why you must be careful not to fall in love with the campsite more than the one who led you there. There are places in your life that were never meant to become permanent. They were meant to teach you how to trust me under temporary covering. They were meant to keep you alive while I repaired what the last season broke. They were meant to show you that I can provide water from stone, bread from heaven, and direction in the barren land. But now the cloud is moving, and because you love what was familiar, the first feeling is not excitement. It is grief. It is the ache of knowing something is over before anyone else admits it. It is the strange silence at the table. It is the heaviness in a room where you once felt peace. It is the holy discomfort of realizing you can no longer shrink yourself to fit where I have outgrown you. You have tried to explain it away. You told yourself you were just tired. You told yourself you were being dramatic. You told yourself you needed more gratitude, more discipline, more patience. And yes, there are times when gratitude is needed. There are times when patience is holy. There are times when endurance is obedience, but there are also times when staying is fear dressed as wisdom. There are times when patience becomes an excuse for disobedience. There are times when loyalty to a dead season becomes betrayal of a living command. So ask me, my child, ask me honestly, is this restlessness calling you to endure? Or is it calling you to arise? Because I am not the author of confusion, but I often disturb false peace before I reveal true direction. If you keep asking me to bless what I have already released, you will feel heavier. Not because I hate you, but because I love you too much to let you decorate a prison and call it promise. There are prisons with soft beds. There are cages with familiar songs. There are chains made of comfort, reputation, fear of disappointment, and the need to be understood by people who were never assigned to your next chapter. Do you see it now? The enemy does not always keep my people bound with obvious darkness. Sometimes he keeps them bound with something that used to be light, something that used to be safe, something that used to be good. He whispers, "Stay here. At least you know this place. At least you can predict this pain. At least you will not have to walk into the unknown." But my voice says, "Rise." The cloud has lifted. The familiar is not always faithful. The predictable is not always my will. And the place that requires you to ignore my movement in order to stay comfortable is not shelter anymore. It is delay. I know you want a sign that does not require courage. I know you want confirmation that does not ask anything from you. I know you want the next season to appear fully formed before you release the old one. But my people in the wilderness did not receive the whole map. They received my presence. And my presence was enough. I did not show them every valley, every battle, every thirst, every test, every burial, every miracle, every morning of manna, every night of fire. I gave them myself in the cloud and in the flame. This is still how I lead. You may not have the entire explanation. You may not know who will understand. You may not know how the provision will appear. You may not know what the new land will look like. But if my peace has lifted from what once held you, and my voice is drawing you into deeper trust, do not harden your heart. There is a holy kind of uneasiness that comes before obedience. There is a sacred pressure that builds before movement. There is a divine discomfort that whispers, "This is no longer where you are meant to remain." And my child, when you feel that, do not be ashamed. Bow your head, quiet the noise. Let the tears come if they must. Then loosen your grip, because the cloud is not punishing you by moving. The cloud is protecting you from staying behind. Now, hear me. My child, before you feel the courage to move, heaven has already sent movement into the unseen realm. You only see your restlessness. You only feel the ache in your chest, the strange pull in your spirit. the sense that something is shifting beneath the surface of your ordinary days. But I see what you cannot see. I see the messengers I have released. I see the path being cleared before your feet arrive. I see the resistance that tried to delay you. And I see the authority of my word cutting through what stood against you. Do not assume that silence means nothing is happening. Do not assume that delay means I have forgotten. Do not assume that because your circumstances look unchanged. Heaven has remained still. There are moments when the earth seems quiet because the battle is not taking place where human eyes can watch it. There are hours when your prayers seem to rise into darkness. Yet from the first moment you bowed your heart before me, the answer had already begun its journey. Remember Daniel. From the first day he set his heart to understand and humbled himself before me. His words were heard, yet there was conflict in the unseen. There was resistance beyond the veil. The answer was not absent. The answer was opposed. And so I say to you, your waiting has not been empty. Your trembling has not been wasted. Your prayers have not vanished into the air. The restlessness you feel may be the echo of heaven's movement, pressing against the walls of what you can see. You thought you were simply uncomfortable? But your spirit has heard footsteps. Your flesh cannot hear yet. You thought you were only tired. But deep within you, the watchman of your soul has sensed the arrival of a new command. You thought you were losing peace. But I am teaching you to recognize the difference between peace that comes from comfort and peace that comes from my presence. There is a peace that keeps you asleep, and there is a peace that strengthens you to rise. I am not calling you into fear. I am calling you into holy alertness, for my angels are not ornaments in the stories of men. They are servants of my command. They move at my word. They stand where I assign them. They guard what belongs to me. They go before my children when I send them into places they do not understand. Have I not said that I give my angels charge concerning you? To guard you in all your ways. Have I not surrounded my people before? Even when their enemies thought they were alone, have I not opened eyes to reveal chariots of fire on the mountains? Proving that those who are with my servants are more than those who are against them. So why do you believe you are walking into this transition unguarded? Why do you think the next season depends only on your strength, your wisdom, your resources, your timing, your courage? You are not moving alone. When I move the cloud, I also prepare the road. When I call you forward, I also command what must go before you. When I awaken your spirit, I also station help in places you cannot yet name. But you must understand, this mystery angelic movement does not always feel gentle to the human heart. Sometimes the presence of my command feels like pressure. Sometimes the nearness of change feels like trembling. Sometimes the atmosphere around your life becomes heavy because what is false is being confronted. What is hidden is being exposed. And what has delayed you is being forced to release its grip. That is why you must not judge the moment only by how it feels. Some doors shake before they open. Some prisons tremble before chains fall. Some seas roar before a path appears. Some nights grow darker just before the pillar of fire becomes visible. Do not mistake the shaking for abandonment. I am arranging what you cannot arrange. I am speaking to hearts you cannot reach. I am closing what would destroy you later. I am opening what you could not force open now. I am moving people. Timing. Provision. Warning. Protection. And divine interruption, with more precision than your fear can comprehend. You asked me for direction. And then you were surprised when I made the old place uncomfortable. You asked me for freedom. And then you were startled when the chains began to make noise. You asked me for new wine. But you grieved when the old wineskin began to tear. But my child, how can I lead you forward while you are still bowing to the safety of what is behind you? How can I bring you into the new thing while you demand that it feel exactly like the old? The angels move before the camp moves. The command goes forth before the feet obey. The cloud lifts before the people understand. So do not wait until everyone around you feels what you feel. They may not. The cloud that is moving over your life may not be visible to those who are committed to your old location. Some people only recognize your calling when it benefits their comfort. Some people only bless your obedience when it does not require them to release control. Some people will call your movement instability because they cannot discern the difference between rebellion and divine summons. But you must listen for my voice above the crowd. You must listen for my whisper beneath the noise. You must listen for the holy weight that says, "Do not settle here. I am not finished leading you. I am not asking you to despise the people who do not understand. I am asking you not to make them your cloud. I am not asking you to become reckless. I am asking you to become obedient. I am not asking you to move in panic. I am asking you to move when I move. For the unseen realm is not confused. Heaven has not lost the order of your steps. Your restlessness is not proof that you are falling apart. It is proof that something in you is responding to a sound beyond the visible world. So stand still long enough to hear me. Pray until fear becomes quiet. Open my word until the fog inside you begins to lift. And when I confirm what I have already been stirring, do not shrink back, because the road ahead may be unknown to you. But it is not unknown to me. The angels have already moved. The cloud has already lifted. And soon, my child, your feet must follow. Now I warn you gently. My child, do not worship the place where I once met you. Do not turn yesterday's altar into today's prison. Do not take the ground where I healed you and make an idol out of it simply because you are afraid to follow me into a place you have never seen. This is a holy warning. And it is given in love, because many of my children do not fall because they loved darkness. Many fall because they loved an old light after my presence had moved on. They cling to the place where they once heard my voice. But they stop listening for where my voice is speaking now. They keep returning to the same memory, the same formula, the same room, the same relationship, the same version of themselves, because they are afraid that if they leave it, they will lose me. But I am not trapped in the place where you first found me. I am the God who met Abraham in his father's land, and then said, "Go." I am the God who met Moses in the wilderness, and then sent him back to Egypt. I am the God who met Elijah in exhaustion, not only to comfort him, but to send him onward with instruction. I am not merely the God of your last encounter. I am the Lord of the next command. So do not confuse familiarity with my presence. Do not confuse history with obedience. Do not confuse emotional attachment with spiritual confirmation. A place can be sacred because I once used it, and still be finished because I have now released it. A person can be part of your healing and still not be part of your next assignment. A season can be blessed and still be over. A door can be opened by me for a time and closed by me when its purpose is complete. You must learn the difference between gratitude and captivity. Gratitude says, "Lord, thank you for what you did there." Captivity says, "Lord, I refuse to leave because I am afraid. You will not meet me anywhere else." My child, that fear is not from me. If I was God in the old place, I will be God on the unknown road. If I fed you there, I can feed you here. If I protected you then, I can protect you now. If my hand held you in the last valley, my hand will not disappear at the edge of the next one. Yet this is where many hesitate. This is where many build monuments to a moving God and then wonder why their hearts feel dry. This is where they keep asking me to revive what I am asking them to release. They say, "Lord, bring back the old fire. And I say, follow the new flame. They say, Lord, restore the old peace. And I say, come where my peace has gone ahead of you. They say, Lord, make this place feel like home again. And I say, my child, I am teaching you that home is not a location. Home is my presence. There is a danger in nostalgia when it becomes stronger than obedience. There is a danger in calling something sacred only because you are unwilling to grieve it. There is a danger in staying near an old altar while the cloud is lifted. Because after a while, you may begin to defend your delay with religious language. You may call it patience. You may call it discernment. You may call it loyalty. You may call it wisdom. But deep within, you know the truth. You know when you are waiting on me. And you know when you are hiding from me. You know when your stillness is faith. And you know when your stillness is fear. You know when I have said, be still. And you know when I have said, arise. This is why the restlessness has grown louder. Not to shame you, not to break you, but to rescue you from becoming loyal to what I have already finished. When I called Abraham, I did not give him every detail. I gave him a promise and a command. Go from your country, your people, and your father's house to the land I will show you. Not the land he already understood. Not the land he could control. Not the land he could explain to everyone at the table. The land I would show him. Faith often begins with a departure before it becomes an arrival. And this is what frightens you. You want the arrival before the departure? You want the confirmation before the surrender? You want the comfort of knowing how everything will unfold before you loosen your hands from what has already ended. But my ways are not built on your need for control. My guidance is not a contract with every line explained before you obey. Sometimes I say, go, and the road appears only as your feet begin to move. Sometimes I say, release, and the provision appears only after your hands are empty. Sometimes I say, trust me, and the peace comes not before obedience, but through it. So hear my warning and my comfort together. Do not worship the place where I once met you. Honor it. Thank me for it. Gather the lessons. Bless what was holy. But do not chain your future to it. The cloud is moving. And if you stay only because you are afraid to grieve, your heart will become heavy in a place that once felt light. You will keep asking why the manna tastes stale, why the air feels thin, why prayer feels strained, why your spirit feels pressed from every side. It is because you are trying to keep breathing in a season whose breath has lifted. But there is mercy even now. I have not stopped speaking. I have not withdrawn my love. I have not abandoned you at the border of change. I am warning you because I am calling you. I am unsettling you because I am protecting you. I am disturbing the old peace because I am leading you toward a deeper one. So do not let fear rename your obedience as foolishness. Do not let people who cannot see the cloud convince you to bow to the campsite. Do not let the memory of yesterday's miracle make you miss the movement of today's God. The altar was real. The healing was real. The provision was real. But my child, the cloud has lifted, and now, remaining where I once was may cost you the place where I am calling you to meet me next. Now rise. My child, move when I move. Even if you do not know the map, you have been waiting for certainty. But I am teaching you trust. You have been asking for the full road. But I am giving you my presence. You have been wanting every answer before the first step. But many times in my kingdom, the first step is what opens the next answer. You do not need to understand the whole journey to obey the one who leads it. When I called Abraham, he went out not knowing where he was going. He did not walk because the map was complete. He walked because my voice was enough. He left the land of the familiar, the house of his father, the patterns that had shaped his name, and he followed a promise that had not yet become visible. That is faith. Faith is not the absence of trembling. Faith is trembling that still obeys. Faith is not pretending the unknown does not feel dark. Faith is believing that my presence is brighter than the darkness you cannot explain. You have been afraid because the next place is not clear. You have looked ahead and said, Lord, I do not know how this will work. I do not know who will stay. I do not know what I will lose. I do not know where provision will come from. I do not know how to explain this stirring in my spirit. And I answer you, I know. I know the road. I know the provision. I know the timing. I know the people who will remain. And I know the people whose assignment in your life has ended. I know what must be removed before it destroys you quietly. I know what must be delayed until your heart is ready to receive it. I know what must close, what must open, what must be healed, what must be confronted, and what must be left behind in the sand. You are not stepping into emptiness. You are stepping into my order. The wilderness looked empty to Israel, but it was filled with my instruction. The desert looked barren, but it became the classroom where slaves learned how to become a people of covenant. The path looked strange, but every morning manna appeared. Every night fire burned. Every thirsty place became an opportunity for me to reveal that I was not limited by what the land could offer. So do not fear a barren-looking place when I am the one leading you there. A place without visible supply is not dangerous if I have commanded you to enter it. A place with visible comfort is not safe if my cloud has lifted from it. This is the reversal you must understand. Your safety is not in what is familiar. Your safety is in my will. Your security is not in knowing what comes next. Your security is in knowing who goes before you. There are moments when I will ask you to leave before you feel brave. There are moments when I will ask you to release before you feel ready. There are moments when I will ask you to obey while your heart is still grieving what obedience requires. Do not despise that grief. Grief does not mean you are disobedient. It means the season mattered. It means you loved something that carried purpose for a time. It means your heart is not made of stone. But do not let grief become your God. Do not let grief sit on the throne where my voice belongs. Do not let the pain of departure convince you that the command is cruel. I do not move the cloud to torment you. I move the cloud to lead you. And when I lead you, I go before you. Trust in me with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge me, and I will make straight your paths. Not always easy paths. Not always predictable paths. Not always paths that other people immediately understand, but paths held inside my wisdom, guarded by my hand, and marked by my presence. You have been trying to carry tomorrow with today's strength. That is why you feel tired. I did not ask you to carry the whole journey. I asked you to follow the cloud. One step, one prayer, one act of obedience, one release, one conversation, one quiet surrender, one door closed without bitterness, one yes, spoken through tears. Do not rush beyond my pace. Do not lag behind out of fear. Watch the cloud. Follow the flame. Keep your heart tender enough to hear me when I whisper, and courageous enough to obey me when I command. There will be voices that tell you to stay. There will be memories that pull at your garments like hands in the dark. There will be moments when the old place looks safer simply because it is known. But remember, this Egypt was known too. Bondage can become familiar. Delay can become comfortable. A small life can begin to feel safe when you have forgotten the size of my promise. I did not create you merely to survive in circles around the same mountain forever. There is a time to wait. There is a time to heal. There is a time to be hidden. But there is also a time to rise. And when I say rise, my child, rise, not in panic, not in pride, not to prove yourself to anyone. Rise in holy obedience. Rise with tears if you must. Rise with trembling hands if you must. Rise without knowing every detail if you must. But rise, because the cloud is not leaving you. The cloud is inviting you. And now, my child, receive the truth. You did not expect. The restlessness was mercy. You thought it was punishment. You thought it was proof that you were losing peace, losing direction, losing the steady ground beneath your feet. You thought I had withdrawn something from you because you had failed to hold it well. But I tell you now, I did not allow the restlessness to destroy you. I allowed it to wake you. It was not me abandoning you. It was me refusing to let you sleep through your departure. Because there are seasons when sleep becomes dangerous. There are seasons when comfort becomes a veil over the eyes. There are seasons when a person can remain so long in what used to be safe that they do not realize the cloud has already lifted. So I disturbed what could no longer carry you. I let the old peace become thin. I let the familiar place lose its music. I let the silence feel louder than before. I let your spirit ache. Not because I wanted to wound you, but because I wanted you to notice that heaven was moving. My child, I do not always shake what I hate. Sometimes I shake what you trust more than me. I do not always remove peace because you are wrong. Sometimes I remove false peace because you are ready. Ready to hear me again. Ready to follow me deeper. Ready to stop surviving in a place I only meant to use as a temporary shelter. Ready to learn that my presence is not behind you. My presence is before you. This is the twist your fear could not see. You were not being pushed away from me. You were being pulled toward me. The cloud did not lift because I was leaving you behind. The cloud lifted because I was inviting you forward. And now you must choose. Not between comfort and suffering. Not between certainty and chaos. But between the place where I once met you and the place where I am calling you to meet me next. Do not be afraid of the new road simply because it is quiet. Do not be afraid of the unknown simply because it has not explained itself yet. Do not be afraid of losing what cannot follow you into obedience. What I have ordained for your next season will recognize my voice over your life. What is only attached to your old season may resist the movement, but it cannot cancel my command. So rise, gather the lessons, but do not carry the chains. Honor the memories, but do not bow to them. Bless the season, but do not live inside its ashes. The cloud has lifted. The angels have moved. The warning has been given. The mercy has awakened you. And I, the Lord your God, am not behind you saying, return to what is over. I am before you saying, come. Come out of the fear that calls itself wisdom. Come out of the delay that calls itself patience. Come out of the grief that has begun to demand worship. Come out of the room where your spirit keeps shrinking. Come out of the old campsite, the old comfort, the old version of yourself that could only survive, but could not yet walk in promise. For I am doing a new thing. Even now, it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? The path is forming where there was no path. The river is beginning where there was only wilderness. The fire will appear when night comes. The manna will arrive when morning breaks. And step by step, breath by breath, prayer by prayer, I will teach you that you were never safer in the old place than you are in my will. So do not move in panic. Do not move in pride. Do not move to prove yourself. Move because I am moving. Move because the peace you seek is not in the campsite. It is in the cloud, and the cloud has lifted. Heaven is moving again. If this word speaks to your spirit, comment Amen below. Comment where you are watching from. Because someone in another city, another country, another wilderness may need to know they are not alone. Subscribe and share this with someone who feels restless and does not yet understand why. And remember this, my child, the restlessness was not the end of your peace. It was the beginning of your departure. So rise in faith. The cloud has lifted, and I am already going before you.